They thought I was a failure, the washed-up naval officer who never built a family, never bought a house, and never amounted to anything. They laughed at me during dinner. My brother called me Captain Nobody. My sister whispered that I was pathetic for coming home alone. They had no idea what I'd done or who I'd become. But when the military convoy pulled into our driveway, the national flag fluttering in the evening breeze, black SUVs gliding past the oak trees, and the glint of medals no one in my family could ever dream of earning, the laughter stopped. You could hear a pin drop. And in that moment I realized sometimes the best revenge isn't shouting or fighting back. It's letting the truth walk through your front door. My name is Commander Elena Ross. United States Navy. I spent 15 years at sea, 15 years of storms, high-stakes operations, and classified missions that most people couldn't even imagine. 15 years of service to a country that didn't always thank me. And to a family that never really understood why I chose this life. I missed birthdays, weddings, and even my mother's funeral. I told myself it was for something greater, for duty, for honor, for the lives we protect while most people sleep soundly, oblivious to the sacrifices being made on their behalf. When my last deployment ended and my ship finally docked at Norfolk, I decided it was time to go home, back to Charleston, South Carolina. I hadn't been home in over a decade. I imagined a warm welcome, hugs, maybe even tears. But when I walked through the front door of my childhood home, I realized I was a stranger in my own family. My father, Richard Ross, barely glanced up from his bourbon glass. My brother Travis, the self-proclaimed businessman, gave me a smug grin. And my sister Hannah was too busy taking selfies to even notice me. It wasn't warmth I felt that day. It was judgment. That same look I'd seen in foreign ports, where locals didn't trust outsiders. Only this time, the outsiders were my own blood. It was the kind of gaze that weighed heavy on your chest, the kind that makes you doubt everything you've done until you remember. The truth you carry inside you. Dinner that night was supposed to be a reunion. Instead, it felt like a tribunal. Travis started swirling his wine with practiced indifference. "So, Elena," he said, eyes glinting with mockery, 15 years in the Navy and still no husband? No kids. What's the point of coming back? My father chuckled. You were always the stubborn one. Should have gone into real estate like your brother. You'd be rich by now. And then Hannah, with her perfectly manicured nails and infuriating smile, added, "She probably makes less than my brand deals." Poor thing. Laughter erupted around the table, my father included. I forced a smile. I'd survived deployments in hostile waters, coordinated missions under missile threat, navigated storms that tossed ships like toys. But nothing cut like family mockery. I tried to shift the conversation, spoke of humanitarian missions, of rescuing stranded sailors, delivering medical aid. But they didn't care. My words bounced off them like cannonballs hitting steel. Travis leaned back. Must be nice pretending to be a hero while taxpayers pay the bill. My father nodded solemnly. Your mother always said you were chasing medals instead of a real life. Hannah stared at me. You're 35, single, and living out of a motel. What did all that service even get you? I didn't answer. In the Navy, silence isn't weakness, it's control. I'd learned long ago that storms pass faster when you don't shout at the wind. But inside, a fire burned. Not anger, not sadness, but a deep ache. The sting of betrayal. The people I'd written letters home to, worried about, sacrificed for, didn't care. They never had. That night, I lay in bed replaying every insult, every laugh, every smirk. I thought about the missions I'd led, the lives I'd saved, and the medals I'd earned, and the family that hadn't even noticed. I remembered nights on storm-tossed decks when the sea threatened to swallow us whole. When every decision I made meant life or death, and yet the people I bled for, the people I called family, were content to mock me over wine and superficial accomplishments. I've realized that proving my worth to them directly would never matter. I had to show them the truth, in a way they could never ignore. The next morning, I decided to leave early. I didn't owe them another word. I packed my duffel, slipped on my uniform, and stepped outside. But then the low rumble of diesel engines shook the quiet street. At first I thought it was construction. Then I saw it, 3 Humvees and 2 black Suburbans rolling into the driveway with disciplined precision. My heart skipped a beat. The house door burst open. My family spilled out, wide-eyed. Travis froze mid-step. Hannah's phone dropped. My father's bourbon glass slipped from his hand and shattered on the porch. Behind me, a Marine in full dress blues stepped forward, saluted sharply, and said, "Commander Ross, ma'am, we're here per your request. The Admiral sends his regards." Uniformed officers emerged behind him, carrying medals, citations, and sealed folders stamped classified, declassified per order, 17 to 140. My family had no frame of reference for what was happening. The laughter, the insults, the judgment vanished. Silence fell like a heavy curtain. The Marine handed me a wooden box draped in the American flag. "Ma'am, the Secretary of the Navy extends his personal gratitude for your service." I opened it carefully. Inside were my medals, citations, commendations, and at the top a letter signed by the President himself. I handed it to my father. His hands trembled as he read aloud. "To Commander Elena Ross, your courage, loyalty, and leadership under extreme conditions exemplify the highest traditions of naval service. Your classified command during Operation Deep Tide saved countless lives and reshaped international humanitarian response. The United States of America thanks you." Travis's jaw tightened. Hannah blinked in disbelief. And just when they thought the night couldn't get more surreal, a sleek gray SUV pulled up. Out stepped Admiral Keene, my former commanding officer. "Commander Ross," he said, his tone warm but commanding. "We just wanted to be here when you told them." "Told us what?" My father whispered. The Admiral looked at him solemnly. "Sir, your daughter wasn't just in the Navy. She led one of the most decorated humanitarian task forces in U.S. naval history. She's being promoted to captain, one of the youngest in her command." Silence. My father's face drained of color. Travis shrank back. Hannah's phone still dangled in her hand, recording, but capturing nothing she could comprehend. The Admiral shook my hand and nodded. "You raised a remarkable woman, Mr. Ross. You should be proud." And then they were gone. I turned back to my family. My father looked like a man staring at a reflection he had never recognized. "Elena, I didn't know," he whispered. I smiled. "You never asked." For once, there were no insults, no laughter. Just silence, the kind only the undeniable truth can create. I stayed on the porch long after the convoy had disappeared down the street. The evening air was warm, the smell of magnolia trees thick and sweet. I thought about all the nights I spent proving my worth to strangers. Commanding sailors under enemy fire, coordinating rescues in remote waters. And I realized something profound. I didn't need validation from the people who never valued me. The world had already recognized my worth. They mocked the uniform, the sacrifice, the service, until the world they ignored arrived in black SUVs, carrying medals, honor, and undeniable truth. That night, I didn't feel vindictive. I felt free. Free from the weight of expectations that never mattered. Free from the judgment that had followed me like a shadow since childhood. And above all, free to finally acknowledge the pride I had in myself. If you've ever been underestimated, mocked, or belittled for chasing your purpose, remember this. The world might laugh at you now. But when the truth arrives, when your hard work and sacrifice finally show, they won't have the courage to speak. The best revenge isn't payback, it's proving them wrong without saying a word. Sometimes letting the truth arrive in full force, in medals, in honors. In undeniable recognition is the most satisfying justice of all. And when that moment comes, it doesn't just silence doubters. It gives you the peace that you earned long before anyone else could understand it.